You press play on an album. 38 minutes later, it ends. You have never thought about why it is 38 minutes. It just feels right. The right length. Complete. Not too short, not too long. But that feeling has an origin. And the origin is a piece of engineering technology that became obsolete decades ago. Here's where it comes from. In 1948, Columbia Records introduced the long-playing record, the LP, a 12-inch vinyl disc that rotated at 33 1/3 revolutions per minute. It was a significant improvement on the 78 RPM shellac records that came before, which could hold only about 4 minutes of music per side and required constant, irritating changes. The LP could hold approximately 22 minutes of music per side, 44 minutes total. The constraint was not arbitrary. It was the result of careful engineering trade-offs. Groove width determines both sound quality and playing time. A wider, deeper groove produces louder, cleaner audio. A narrower groove allows more grooves per inch, which means more playing time, but at the cost of fidelity. The disc's rotation speed interacts with both. Slower rotation allows more music, but degrades the quality of high frequencies. Columbia's engineers found a balance. The result was a disc that sounded excellent and played for about 44 minutes. That number then shaped everything. Artists and record labels immediately organized around it. An album was a collection of music designed to fill, more or less, two sides of an LP. You wrote for the format. If you went significantly over 22 minutes on a side, the cutting engineer had a problem. If you came significantly under, listeners felt shortchanged. The four-sided double album existed precisely because some artists had more to say than 44 minutes allowed. The Beatles' White Album, Pink Floyd's The Wall, Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde. The constraint was the reason they were double albums, not single ones. More music meant more vinyl. Then, in 1982, the compact disc arrived, and the constraint vanished. A CD could hold up to 74 minutes of audio. The figure was reportedly set at the insistence of Norio Oga, a senior executive at Sony, because he wanted a single disc to be capable of holding Beethoven's Ninth Symphony in full, specifically the 1951 Wilhelm Furtwängler recording, which runs 74 minutes. Other accounts say it was a compromise between competing technical standards. Either way, artists suddenly had more than 70 minutes to fill on a single disc. Here is what happened. They didn't use it. Some artists did. CD releases from the late 1980s and 1990s occasionally stretched to 70 or even 73 minutes, as if the artist felt obligated to justify the format. But the most successful albums of that era, never mind OK Computer, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, The Blueprint, still run around 40 to 50 minutes. Not because the disc couldn't hold more, because the artists and their audiences had internalized a sense of what an album should feel like. The constraint had become a convention. When streaming arrived and the constraint disappeared entirely, the convention mostly held. There are no physical limits on a streaming platform. An album can be 3 hours or 20 minutes. Some artists have pushed the boundaries. Long double albums, surprise editions of new tracks, albums that expand rather than end. But the average album length in the streaming era still sits around 40 to 50 minutes. Partly this is economics. Streaming platforms calculate album charts and critical weight based on track counts and total runtime. A short album in the streaming era can feel like an EP, regardless of quality. Artists have commercial incentives to hit a certain length. But partly it is something simpler. 40 minutes is what an album feels like. The expectation was built by vinyl, reinforced by the CD era, and has outlasted both of them. Audiences who grew up listening to albums know in their bones when something feels complete. Too short, and it feels unfinished. Too long, and it feels like being asked for more attention than you agreed to give. That intuition was calibrated by a disc that cost a penny to manufacture and could hold 44 minutes of sound. The box disappeared. The feeling of the box stayed. Now you know.